As daylight gently retreats and the evening air cools, one can imagine the quiet emergence of the first flickering lights that began to push back the darkness enveloping town streets. The history of street lamps is one of gradual transformation, woven plentifully into the fabric of daily life over centuries, yet often overlooked as simply background to the rhythms of human habitation. In the earliest days, before the mechanical wonders of our modern age were conceived, towns depended on rudimentary means to illuminate their paths after sunset. It was not the roaring blaze of grandeur, but a modest, purposeful glow, marking humanity's steady desire to extend waking hours and offer a measure of security and comfort. Street lamps, in their humble beginnings, were simple tools made from available materials: pitchers filled with oil, rough iron sconces holding candles, and the occasional brazier stationed along city walls. These early illuminations were as much pragmatic as they were mystical, casting dancing shadows that mingled with the night's cold breath. Residents might have gathered near these points of light, cherishing the warmth both physical and communal, their faces softened by the orange hues that barely kept the shroud of darkness at bay. Moving forward through time, the slow advances in technology and urban planning began to influence how streets were lit. By the 17th and 18th centuries, many European towns had taken steps toward organized public lighting, largely motivated by the notion of safety and order. In cities like Paris and London, local governments saw the benefit of establishing more systematic lighting after dusk. The lamps became a regular fixture along main thoroughfares, often tended by dedicated lamplighters, an occupation itself steeped in ritual and routine. These lamplighters carried long poles, sometimes with little hooks or devices at the end, allowing them to ignite, extinguish, or refill the lamps without needing to climb each post. The process was slow and required patience, as countless lamps dotted the streets, their small flames needing constant attention. The materials also improved slowly. Oil lamps with glass covers became more common, protecting the light from wind and rain, while the stands supporting the lamps evolved from rough wood or iron posts with decorative elements, reflecting the tastes of the period. These centuries were also marked by scattered moments of experimentation, small inventions that hinted at more efficient or longer-lasting means of illumination. One particularly important development was the gradual adoption of gas lighting in the early 19th century. Though primitive gas lamps had been discussed and tested before, it was around the 1800s that gas street lighting began to find its place in many cities. This new form of lighting offered a steadier, brighter flame than oil lamps, and because gas pipelines could be laid along streets, the labor-intensive work of lighting each lamp individually started to diminish. Nighttime promenades became more common as street lamps passed pools of pale yellow light onto sidewalks. Sometimes children would follow the lamplighters to see the lamps bloom to life, and merchants adjusted their closing hours accordingly. Gas lighting marked a turning point not just technologically but socially. It lent a reassuring solidity to the night and allowed urban districts to take on a new character, moving away from the tentative shadows of past centuries into a more regular, consistent nighttime world. While gas lamps represented significant progress, their working lives were accompanied by certain challenges and everyday concerns easily forgotten today. For one, the infrastructure needed to deliver gas underground required ongoing maintenance, and when leaks occurred, the characteristic scent of coal gas would become detectable in the air, a mild nuisance accepted as part of city life. There was also the matter of the gas flames being sometimes sensitive to weather. Strong winds or heavy rain could dampen the light or extinguish it, prompting regular patrols by workers to check and reignite lamps where necessary. Furthermore, the cost of gas and the effort to maintain the entire network meant that many communities still relied on simpler, cheaper candle or oil lamps, especially in less wealthy districts or small villages. The gas lamps, widely hailed as modern, were not a comprehensive solution, but one step among many in the ongoing dialogue between human needs and technological capacity. In residential streets, gas lamps had a softer glow than their later electric descendants, often flickering slightly in the breeze, contributing to a nightscape that felt both familiar and quietly alive.
By the late 19th century, yet another shift was poised to change urban evenings: the advent of electric street lighting. The idea of using electricity for illumination intrigued inventors and city planners alike, promising a brighter, cleaner, and more reliable source of light. Early demonstrations began in the 1870s and 1880s, initially in limited areas and public squares. These prototype lamps, often based on arc lamps or early incandescent bulbs, illuminated spaces with a more intense, somewhat bluish light that was quite different from the warm flicker of flame. The sight of arc lamps glowing over a public park or wide boulevard became emblematic of the new era, though the technology required careful handling and was not immediately suited for every street or neighborhood. The infrastructure to support electric light, wires, transformers, and power stations, demanded large investments and ongoing care. Still, with each passing decade, more cities found ways to incorporate electric lamps, gradually replacing gas fixtures and reinventing the nighttime experience for residents and visitors alike. Throughout these transformations, the everyday impact of street lamps extended beyond mere physical illumination. They influenced social behaviors and urban design in subtle ways. People adjusted their routines, favoring later walks or evening gatherings, while some businesses thrived with extended hours. The presence of reliable light also encouraged city leaders to think about safety and order as part of municipal responsibilities. Lighting standards and regulations gradually developed, often tailored to local conditions and customs, shaping the height, spacing, and brightness of lamps. In quieter neighborhoods, smaller lamps offered gentle pools of light rather than bright beacons, while major thoroughfares enjoyed taller, more powerful fixtures. Streets took on a new character after dark,
both calming and enlivening, blending shadows and light in a balance that suited the pace of modern life. Even the lamplighters themselves evolved in role and image, sometimes becoming symbols of the city's progress, quietly tending their duties as part of the city's nightly ritual. Eventually, the 20th century brought further innovations that refined and diversified street lighting. The movement from incandescent bulbs to mercury vapor, sodium lamps, and later LED technology changed not only the quality but also the character of urban nightscapes. Lamps became more energy efficient and longer lasting, reducing both costs and maintenance. Designs varied widely, from simple utilitarian posts to elegant modernist poles, blending with parkways or historic districts. Light pollution and environmental concerns gradually entered discussions, encouraging planners to consider directionality, color temperature, and intensity to balance the needs of sight and nature. Meanwhile, the poetic charm of a lamplighter's gentle torch was replaced by automated systems, sensors, and digital controls, rendering nighttime lighting more precise and responsive than ever before. Yet in countless cities worldwide, echoes of these earlier forms linger in preserved antique lampposts or recreated historic districts, reminders of a quiet history progressing steadily, unnoticed by most, but essential to daily life after dusk. In this way, the story of street lamps unfolds as one of patient, unhurried progress, a subtle interplay between necessity, invention, and the evolving patterns of city life. From flickering flames in iron sconces to the silent glow of LEDs governing modern evenings, street lamps quietly shape our experience of night, guiding footsteps and framing social moments without clamoring for attention. Their history is less about dramatic upheavals and more a steady, reassuring dialogue with the everyday, revealing the care and creativity embedded in seemingly ordinary objects. As we walk beneath their light today, it is perhaps a fitting moment to reflect on this ongoing heritage, appreciating the many hands and minds that tended and designed these lights to follow us through the darkness, softly illuminating the paths we share. With each evening's gentle illumination, an old story lights the way, inviting us to pause and feel the calm continuity of human presence under the night sky.